Welcome back, gang. It's Deltia from Deltiasgaming.com. I've spent 12 hours on the live server with the launch of Blackwood. In this video, I'm going to cover my impressions of how it's going day one, what people are doing, my opinion on the chapter as it stands right now. Keep in mind, I've spent about 50 hours on the public test server, but it's different when it launches. You're actually collecting the gear for a reason, and you're doing things along with everyone in the server. So I'm going to go through the good, the bad, and a lot of the surprises and what's going on in Blackwood currently. And let's start with the good first. Timestamps are below if you wish to skip ahead, as well as other important links. Thanks for watching. First up, we have the good. The biggest surprise is the new trial. I can't tell you how much I enjoy this. For anyone watching this, yes, I do trials, but I don't do veteran, I don't do hard mode. I pretty much am a casual trials guy. I don't like the fact that I have to get 12 people together to do it. I love PvE in the Elder Scrolls Online, but mainly the dungeons, Dragonstar Arena, and so on. So this trial specifically, on the public test server, I only got to the first boss, and we only had 7 people on, so we really couldn't complete it, and I kind of walked out frustrated and didn't really enjoy it. So on launch day, though, we got 12 folks in there, no companions, and we sat there and we got it completed in roughly an hour on the live stream. And I was absolutely blown away at how this trial worked and functioned. Number one, it really ramps up in urgency and the boss mechanics from boss 1 to the final. So in other instances like Sunspire or Cloud Rest, yes, the bosses get harder. Yes, they seem a little bit visually, more appealing and whatnot. But this is tenfold. The very first boss, kind of like Runes of Mazatoon. The second boss is absolutely stunning with an Oblivion portal you know you're going through. Then you get to the final boss. It's 3 levels of lava everywhere. It's absolutely fantastic. It gives you the sense of what Oblivion and what I loved about the Oblivion Elder Scrolls games. I gotta close this Oblivion portal. Yes, I know it's a video game, but there was that underlying sense of urgency. I really felt that in this trial, and PvE and the story elements for the first time in a long time. Not to mention, what ZeniMax Online Studios has been doing really well is making PvE more accessible for the average player. When the game first launched, doing these trials like AA and Hellraw, you really only could do them if you were part of the elite tier veteran trial group and you had some of the best bells and whistles and were really good mechanically at the game. So it was kind of an excluding factor early on at the game. But now the difficulty scales very well. You have normal where you can get in, see the mechanics, complete it, get some of the gear, but it's not best in slot. Then you have veteran, which is obviously a lot harder, gives you something to work towards, and then you have veteran hard mode. There's this clear progression in the way the PvE works now, and this trial is fantastic because the average group can get together, pug it, get through it, see it, feel it, experience it, and collect some of the gear. I really feel, honestly, this is one of the best parts of Blackwood, and I'm shocked that I'm saying this, is the trial. Because what you're trying to do from a developer standpoint is try to hit this sweet spot between really appealing, so you want to do it over and over, like a gameplay loop. It's fun, it's visually stimulating, it's auditorily appealing, it's just really fun to be in there and do the trial over and over and over. But also, you got to have the hamster wheel there. You got to have gear to constantly collect in order to keep you in there. I'm looking at you, Dragonstar Arena. It's the reason why I still love doing Dragonstar Arena. I still love going through because the mechanics are fun. I like the fights, I like the bosses, I like the progression through the stages, and the gear is fun to collect. So years later, I'm still doing Dragonstar Arena. And I think this trial, biggest surprise to me, it fits that bill. They nailed it. So what did they not nail? In my opinion, it's companions. Companions for me have very little appeal. Let me tell you why. So I don't play Elder Scrolls Online for story. I'll play Mass Effect, I'll play Fallout, I'll play another Elder Scrolls game, but not Elder Scrolls Online. It has a fantastic story, but I'm the MMO guy, right? So I'm always chasing the next gear set. I'm always trying to improve, chasing skills, leveling characters. I don't have time for the story per se. But if you do, you'll probably really like companions. So from my perspective, I can solo veteran hard modes by myself. And I'm saying that not as a flex, but the fact is, I don't need companions for my performance. So out of the box, you take a companion like Miri and you use them for combat, and they may be doing 2-3k DPS. You set them to a tank, and they're gonna die every time there's a heavy attack because they're just swinging their sword and not holding block. You set them to a healer, and my Pale Order ring can outperform their healing drastically. So it really doesn't do much. Also, guess what? They're not going to be able to do crafting writs for you. They're not crafting, they're not selling things. There's really very little utility. And in fact, they make your inventory more clunky. It's more screens to manage, it's more things to do. So for me, will I use companions? Will I make builds to associate with them? Will I suggest what you should use and so on? Absolutely. But it just misses the mark for me. I really don't see a point in using them the way I play. Having said that, I will give the developers credit on this end. It's easy to undertune them and to crank them up in effectiveness versus having them so powerful to basically replace a real player in a trial or a dungeon. So the developers can easily crank them up to kind of get that sweet spot where they're not exactly as good as a real player, but you can, in a pinch, put them in as a trial in a dungeon, because right now, they just don't offer a whole lot. Even on the public test server, when I put Miri as a range archer, best in slot, max level 20, with purple gear, everything maxed out, maybe 8 to 10,000 damage per second. Now that's pretty good, but when I'm leveling, I'm working on her, she ends up dead most of the time, and I'm sitting there having to res her, or just say, you know what, I'm just gonna finish the fight, and she's there. So again, not banging on companions in their entirety, but for me, the way I play the game, not story driven, I'm pretty good at the game, not the best, I don't really see a whole lot of value in them, and it just does not hit the mark for me. Another big surprise is Imperial City. We zerged the sewers and had a whole lot of fun day one. So if you don't know, there's 3 new monster helms that you get from 3 specific bosses in the districts down in Imperial City. And this adds a whole lot of fun to pretty much a dead zone beyond gankers. So imagine this is going to be a nightmare for folks that want to get these 3 new monster helms, because there's going to be a lot of gankers. These bosses are not easy to solo, though I've done it, especially if you're getting pressure from other players. And it's just a lot of fun to zerg it down and do something else besides Cyrodiil and getting the lag. So it hopefully will incentivize more people to come down in Imperial City and revive what I think is the best DLC to ever hit the Elder Scrolls Online. Really good job with this one. Not to mention, it's part of the base game. You don't even need to buy Imperial City. So it's a free thing that they added content-wise. Really good job. Another thing that happened that I was shocked by positively is the servers work. I played for 12 hours, they were up early, and I started streaming at 6 a.m. Central Time, and I only had 2 crashes playing for almost 12 hours throughout the day. So I was shocked that the servers actually worked, and a lot of the zones were packed with people. Speaking of the zones packed with people, this Blackwood chapter, you're probably going to have to own it if you're an endgame PvE or a PvPer, because some of the new gear sets and mythics specifically are just so dang impactful. Speaking of the new mythics, we found all their leads, and I have that on post on my website, link below, and I will do separate videos on Gaze of Sithis, Harpooner's Waiting Kilt, and all that, how to get it. But there's so much to collect in Blackwood. Because those mythics take a very long time to get, specifically Gaze of Sithis, you have to level your Dark Brotherhood. If you're watching this on consoles, start leveling your Dark Brotherhood. Trust me, on multiple characters. You got the Overland sets as well, that's a lot to collect. You got the Trial set to collect. You got the Imperial City Monster Helms to collect. So it can kind of be overwhelming when you log in. You're like, what's my priority? What do I need to do? The thing I'm getting at here is that initially there's a lot to collect. And this is going to be really fun to get all this gear and spend weeks or, a week or 2 or a month or whatever getting my sticker book filled out. However, when that's done, there isn't necessarily a big content loop for me to do over and over in Blackwood beyond the trial. So when Morrowind launched, they had Battlegrounds, which I still play to this day, all the time, non-stop. I love Battlegrounds. Yeah, some people run cheesy builds and so on, but it's a fun content loop that I can play over and over and over. Blackwood, for me, is really a lot of story, a lot of things to collect, and a really nice trial. Remember, Imperial City, one of the funnest things I've already mentioned, is part of the base game, not even a part of the Blackwood chapter. So for me, I like Blackwood. I don't love it because there is not that one content loop thing that I can do over and over and over beyond the trial. It gives me a lot of new bells, a lot of new whistles. Yes, it gives me companions, and hopefully they'll be tuned up in the future and makes them somewhat useful either for crafting or for something beyond combat. I don't know. But right now, as it stands, Blackwood's good. I just can't say that it's great because once I collect all this stuff in a couple of weeks and spend time grinding these mythics, grinding that trial, getting it done, I'm going back to doing the things I love. Cyrodiil, Dragonstar Arena, dungeons, battlegrounds, and so on. But that's just my perspective. You as a player might have a completely different one. Please leave me a comment below if you disagree or agree with some of these statements. As well as I'm streaming live 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on twitch.tv/Deltiasgaming. So I'm leveling companions. I'm doing all the fun trials, doing Imperial City with viewers and everything. So if you want to tune in and see what it looks like live, I'll be there. And I appreciate y'all watching. Check out Blackwood. Check out some live streams. See what you think. But hopefully you'll get something out of this video so you can walk away and make an educated decision if, hey, you want to purchase Blackwood or let it sit. Thanks for watching.